Hey there, Karen and Katie with the card team. We wanted to talk about buy downs today. Rate buy downs are really common with virtually all purchases because of rates going up. And we have a couple different strategies that we use working with realtors on getting a seller credit, to pay for those rate buy downs. There are two different kinds. There's a permanent rate buy down, and there is a temporary, what we call 2-1 buy down, that has to be seller paid. So, Katie, why don't you talk about a couple current deals where we're using those?
Yeah, so first time buyers closing today, actually, who we worked very closely with their realtor to say basically, this is how much we're going to need for both a temporary and a permanent, right? The seller has to cover the temporary, so we wanted to make sure we got at least that much. In this case, it was about $13,000, so we rounded up a little bit and asked for a $15,000 credit. But what we did is we made the offer at 735, right? So that offer really looked like about a 720 offer. And so we built that in to the offer right off the bat. I do think that in this market where there's a little less competition, right? Prices aren't going like way over. We have a little bit more of an
There's
ability.
downward pressure on prices right
Yes,
now.
we have the ability to kind of do that up front if it's the right situation. The realtor in this situation thought it was right, and so that's what we did. So it was a 730 price. We had a $15,000 seller credit built right in, and the realtor worked with the listing agent to say, hey, this is how we're going to get this deal done, and they accepted it. So that enabled them actually to do a permanent buy down for half of that cost, and also use half that money for closing costs. So that's how
It
we
was a
worked.
great deal for them. Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
how it worked. But what's the way if we don't negotiate it up front?
Okay, so we are opening escrow on a purchase today where it's going to be a longer escrow. It's a 1031 exchange, so it's a little more complicated time-wise. So because of that, we are going to wait to negotiate the seller credit until the buyer and seller have both agreed on a price. And as we move further through the escrow period, when we're ready to lock in the interest rate, then we will negotiate an increase in the price to cover the cost of the buy down. And in this case, it'll be 2% lower in rate the first year, 1% lower the second year. By this time, we expect these buyers will have refinanced or will be ready to refinance at a lower rate. And they will receive a partial credit for any funds left that the seller contributed that will reduce their current loan balance. So it's a great deal for buyers right now, to use that buy down and have a lower payment.
One of the big things with that program is they have to qualify at the highest interest rate. So they qualify at the
Right.
highest interest rate because the monthly payment eventually is going to get there, right, in year 3 and beyond, depending on the term. And but we're advising clients as we go through that. We're not I think the most important thing is that you're always comfortable with that highest payment when you're doing the temporary, right? Because eventually it can get there. We don't know what rates will do. So anyway, yeah, great ways that we're using the buy downs in this market.